name's Steve Rowe, and today I'd like to talk about something that's quite unusual, taste. Now, generally speaking, when we talk about learning, we talk about people tend to learn visually, auditory or kinesthetically, meaning some of us learn well by looking, some by listening and some by doing. Everyone uses all three, but some prefer learning by one or other particular methods. As a coach, we have to look at people and think, what's the best way for me to put this across to someone if they're struggling? And I also use a different method, which I'll talk about later, which is one of the old-fashioned earth, water, fire and air methods. But what I'd like to talk about today is taste. And what I mean by taste is there's a thing called, in Japanese they call it Jikiden, or direct transmission. In Kung Fu we have a thing called Chap Sau, which kind of translates as hand fiddling, but it's the direct transmission from instructor to student. And I was thinking about this the other day. I learned most by getting the feel of a movement or technique. So my instructors could talk, show and so on, but I had to kind of get the flavour or get the character. And when you think about it, when you watch good Kung Fu, they tend to emulate the animals. And it's like you could describe it, but you've kind of got to become a bit of a shaman, haven't you? So if you're going to do snake, it's got to feel like a snake. If you're going to do dragon, it's got to be like a dragon and so on. So getting the flavour or the taste of those animals into your movements or your Kung Fu is a very big transformation. And often it makes the difference between whether someone's kind of average or they're very good. When you look at them and you go, they've got that special something that I can't put my finger on. And most of my instructors had that. So getting that direct transmission from them, I would often get them to do the technique and maybe I'd be doing it alongside them. But I try and pick up that kind of intangible flavour of a movement. If they were Kung Fu, they had to be Kung Fu-y. If they were doing a Japanese martial arts, it had to reflect that culture. You would think maybe of Shogun Assassin and the star in Shogun Assassin with his sword and the way he cuts. So if I was doing Iaido, I'd look at my instructor, you might watch movies or whatever, and you pick up that kind of that taste, that flavour for it, and it made all the difference. Kung Fu, you think of someone like Jet Li, when he's standing there in his long flowing coat, the dignity, the posture, the attitude. If you can pick up those flavours and kind of put them into what you're doing, you get that little bit that otherwise would be missing. And I watch a lot of martial arts, and quite often you sort of look at a lot of it and you think, well, they're good. And I can remember talking to my Iaido sensei, Akimitsu Fuji, and I was talking about someone and I said, he is really good. And he said, yes, he's good. He's too perfect. And I said, what do you mean he's too perfect? How can you be too perfect in Iaido? And he said, he's just too perfect, it makes him bland. He said, his words were, you have to have a little bit of pirate in you. But I understood what he meant. You have to have that little bit that is different, that own flavour. Otherwise, your technique can be clinically perfect, but it's still not quite right. It's still too bland. So it's there in traditional arts, as I say, the idea of direct transmission, the idea of Jikiden, the idea of Chap Sau, where they say your chi must be in harmony with your instructor, meaning that you're getting a direct transmission from body language, mind, spirit, not just the usual visual, auditory and kinesthetic. But I would determine that as taste. It's the bit that defines it for me. And when I'm watching martial arts, I'm looking for a flavour. If there's no flavour, it's boring. Thank you very much.